It was my very first church. 7 people in the church. No, there weren't 7 people in the church. There was over 150 people in the church, but there were only 7. You know where I'm going with that. 7 were showing up in attendance, but they had over 150 people on the roll. When we ultimately went through those membership rolls, most of the people could not be recalled. Many of them were dead, many of them long dead. We're going to talk about this whole issue of bloated membership rolls in this podcast. Thank you, Belay, for being our sponsor. Thank you for being our founding sponsor. And what an honor it is to serve alongside you. Hey, you probably got a lot of things on your plate right now. Maybe you're preparing sermons, doing outreach, Bible groups, youth groups, finances, reporting. The list goes on and on and on. Being a leader in a church can mean you have to wear many hats. Take some of those hats and let someone else do them. Let Belay come alongside you and do the things that you really shouldn't be doing so that you can focus on the things you should be doing. They're a great organization, and they match you up well with a virtual assistant. Hey, they have a free resource for you. 25 tasks a pastor can delegate to an assistant. It's a great resource, whether you're a pastor or anybody in a role of leadership, that you can delegate to someone. Go to belaysolutions.com/Tom Rainer or look in the show notes. So there was, first-time pastor, 7 people. I was already off to a bad start. The vote to call me was 6-1. I could not get a unanimous vote with only 7 people present. As a matter of fact, they made me preach 7 times before they would even think about voting on me in this congregational government-based church. It was a challenge anyway. And when I asked to see the membership rolls, it literally was handed to me with a pile of dust. There was no digital rolls in these days. Not at all. There was no internet in these days. I mean, we're going all the way back to the 1980s. So it was 1984 to be precise. So we're back in the times of antiquity. They handed me this big book, and it looked like a big ledger checkbook, but had hardback on it. And they would write in the members when they would join. It was all handwritten, and it was so dusty. I mean, I had to wipe it off wipe off the cover just to begin opening it up. And so we went through the church membership rolls, and there were over 150 people on there. And as I indicated, there were only 7 who were showing up for worship with any degree of frequency. And so I said, why do you have 150 members? And they said, because 150 people joined. Well, where are they? Oh, no. Well, don't you think we should do something about this? No, they don't want to come. They don't want to come. Well, I pushed and pushed and pushed. And finally, we began going through the bloated membership rolls. Now, this can be a tricky exercise because many people see church membership, many, that may be an exaggeration, but a number of people see church membership as equivalent to salvation. And if you take Aunt Susie, who hasn't been in church in 23 years, off the rolls, you are in essence banning her to eternal damnation. Now, of course, I'm speaking with a bit of hyperbole there, but that's the attitude. No, you can't take these people off the rolls. And another attitude is that we should be welcoming and allowing as many people to be a part of the church as want to. But here's the point. They don't want to. So they have not shown up. So what do you do in a case like this? Well, in my particular case, which I'm not going to put as the ideal, we went through every name among the 150. Some were long dead. They agreed to go in and eliminate them from the rolls. That was one of the wins on my part. Some were totally unknown. They could not remember the names or anything about them. Finally got them to remove them from the rolls. But those who are still in the community, not so easy. And those who are relatives of those still in the church or in the community, not so easy as well. I think we may have gotten it down to 80, which was still a bloated membership roll, but we had made progress on it. Now, let me tell you what some other pastors do. They do this more pastorally and with a bit more intentionality. The first thing they do is they get permission to write everybody who is no longer attending and ask if they would like to stay a member of the church. And That some of them will respond. No, some of them will not respond at all, but it's still a first step where you're giving them the option to not only say you're going to stay in the church, but also it'll be a reminder that you're supposed to be in the church as well. And then you wait another year. I've heard pastors who've gone through this methodically. It can be a painstaking process. Then you wait another year. And if some of those people still have not responded after a year, maybe you can take them off the membership rolls. Obviously, you find the deceased. You find those who are living in other cities, and perhaps you find they're even going to other churches in the city where you are, the community where you are, another community, and maybe you get permission to take them off. Now, I understand there will be exceptions. People serving in the military, for example, those would be the people that you would not want to take off the roll as long as they wanted to be identified with that church. The homebound who are not able to show up. There are exceptions, but for the most part, there are bloated membership rolls that need to be reduced and reduced significantly. Now, why is that? Why does it even matter? One of the big things is it makes a big statement about our philosophy and theology of the church. If church is just nothing to you or to others, and it doesn't really matter, keep a bloated membership roll. But if you realize that the entire portion of the New Testament from Acts 2 to Revelation 3 was written about the local church, to the local church, in the context of the local church, you will understand that the local church is important to God, and so it should be important to us. And when we say that we have members who do not attend, who do not give, who do not serve, who may be in whereabouts unknown, what we're saying is this mission site called the local church that God has given to us is unimportant. Another reason to take care of the rolls is to know what our shepherding responsibilities are. From my perspective, anybody who is on a membership roll is a part of the family that the pastor, staff, deacons, elders, and lay people who are in ministry roles should be ministering to them. If you have, in my case, over 150 people when there were only 7 around, you got people that you can't minister to or who don't want to be ministered to. And so it gives you really a good idea of your shepherding responsibilities. But I think above all, the big reason is, do we really value the local church? Do we value it as a high expectation place where God has put us to make a difference in the lives of others? Or do we just regard it as another institution, another organization, another club in which we have membership? I think it should be important. And if it is important, I believe it is important enough for us to have the right people on the rolls that reflect those who are really a part of the church. Let me recommend a couple of books to you. One is by Sam Rainer, and the other is by Tom Rainer. That is I. Both of the books are on church membership. You can see both of those books in the show notes. In fact, Sam has an entire resource on membership, and it's worth getting. It's kind of your membership class in a toolbox. It's fantastic. Let me recommend that to you. You can see that in the show notes as well. Does membership matter? It should. And if membership matters, how big our roles are matter as well. And it must reflect the reality of those who are really connected with the church. Thank you for being a part of this podcast. Thank you, Belay Solutions, for being the sponsor. As always, thank you for what you do to come alongside people in the work of ministry. You are an incredible partner in ministry to us. We appreciate you, Belay. Once again, look in the show notes for the download, 25 tasks a pastor can delegate to an assistant. All right, folks, you've heard my view on church membership. What's yours? We'll talk to you later. Hey, folks, this is a PS to our podcast. We got some exciting stuff that we want to offer you absolutely for free. Sam, when you think about predictive factors in a church's growth, if you take out demographics, what are some things that come to mind? Just two. I mean, don't give me a list of 10. Just 2 or 3 things that come to mind on predictive growth of a church.
Well, evangelism and whether the church is doing it or not.
Bingo.
And then I will add, is it an ongoing evangelism emphasis?
Double bingo. Well? And maybe something about leadership and their commitment to that. So all of the above.
Evangelistic churches have evangelistic pastors. Is the staff, is the lead pastor doing the work themselves.
We have a free download for you, and it's actually a sheet that you can self-score. You answer 20 questions, anywhere from strongly disagree to strongly agree, and we come back and we predict what your growth rate is going to be for the next year in worship attendance. It's not a perfect tool, but it's a good tool. There's a link to that for the attendance predictor. Look in the show notes. You'll absolutely love it. That's cool. We'll see you soon.